I wasn't a young miss, I was the maid's daughter. On my 10th birthday, the maid, So Min Hwan, got drunk and accidentally revealed the truth. I was her biological daughter. Despite this, I remained silent, continuing to bask in the luxurious life and the love of my parents. By 10, I owned my first house. By 15, my first company was named after me. Soon, I was 22, returned from studying abroad, and preparing to marry into the wealthiest family, the Gu family, as the fiancé of Gu Jinwoo. Meanwhile, So Min Hwan's other daughter, Jae-hee, had been bearing the family's burdens since she was 10. Cooking, laundry, cleaning, all chores fell upon her. At 15, she was forced to drop out of school to work and earn a living. At 18, she was brutally beaten for refusing to return to her hometown to marry, eventually disappearing. On my wedding day, as I exchanged rings with my fiancé, a battered Jae-hee suddenly burst in, declaring that she was the true daughter. I was the imposter. My parents, my engagement, everything belonged to her. Calmly, I pushed back my veil and subtly smiled. All right, Kira, eat your favorite corn and pork rib soup. Mrs. So picked the corn and ribs from our garden back home. They're so fresh and delicious. So Min Hwan, the maid, was as attentive and considerate as ever, looking after my every need. Since I was old enough to remember, Mrs. So had always been by my side, fussing over me. She'd prepare all my meals according to a nutritionist's menu. If I stumbled, even slightly, she'd immediately take me for a full health checkup. To better care for me, she even moved into the house. She worked tirelessly, year-round, appearing the moment I called. My parents often said Mrs. So cared for me more meticulously than a national treasure. Of course, she did. Because I was her biological daughter, her devoted care was only natural. I sat down to eat as usual, ignoring her hopeful gaze, and nodded indifferently. It's acceptable. A flicker of disappointment crossed Mrs. So's eyes, then she cheerfully pushed the plate of chicken towards me. This is Kira's favorite. Eat plenty. Standing at the kitchen door was a young girl, her hungry eyes glued to the food on the table. She was skinny and pale, her clothes tattered, leaning against the door, swallowing hard from hunger. That was my biological mother's real daughter. Mrs. So had named that child So Jae-hee. Noticing my gaze drift towards the girl, Mrs. So gently said, "Is Kira scared? Don't worry, I'll chase her away." I looked up with a bright smile. "Mrs. So, why don't you invite Jae-hee to eat with us?" Mrs. So patted my head, her eyes overflowing with affection. "Kira is so kind." No sooner had she spoken than she lunged, grabbing Jae-hee by the ear and dragging her to the back of the kitchen. "You have such nerve. A beast like you dares to come out of the kitchen, dares to scare our Kira. Can your cheap life ever compensate for that?" Jae-hee was dragged along, her desperate screams echoing as I began my lunch. Soon after, Jae-hee's screams died down. Just then, my parents arrived home. Mrs. So hurriedly ran to greet them. My mother, Jang Yujin, told me to change into a new dress she had just bought. She scrutinized me from head to toe, nodding as if evaluating merchandise, then smiled with satisfaction. "Indeed, this is the daughter I have painstakingly raised. Have you practiced the piano, dear?" I bowed obediently. "I have a lesson this afternoon, mother. My teacher will be here soon." Jang Yujin took a cup of tea from Mrs. So, glanced at Jae-hee huddled in a corner, and frowned. "Sister So, I allowed you to bring your child here because I felt pity for you two, but look how filthy she is. Full of germs like that, what if she infects our Kira?" Mrs. So forced a smile, then dragged Jae-hee into the living room, scolding her incessantly. "Can't you wash your face? You disgusting thing, look at Kira, how beautiful she is." Jang Yujin pulled me down next to her, speaking tenderly. "See, how wonderful it is to be a daughter of the Jang family." I nodded in agreement. To be your daughter, mother, is a blessing I must have accumulated over many lifetimes. The three of us sat on the sofa, looking perfectly harmonious. Jae-hee, in pain, begged for forgiveness. "Mother, I'm sorry, I know I was wrong." She wiped a streak of blood from her forehead, bowing her head as she apologized to So Min Hwan. So Min Hwan kicked Jae-hee's knee hard. Thud, Jae-hee collapsed to the ground. "What's the use of apologizing to me? Apologize to Kira." Jae-hee crawled to my mother's feet and mine, softly saying, "Madam Miss, I'm sorry." My father, Chin Kwang-jae, was utterly worried, rushing to help the girl stand. "Min Hwan, why are you hitting the child like that? Hurry, let me put some medicine on it. So Min Hwan snorted. This servant child won't remember unless she's hit. She's not like our Kira, who was born noble. My mother, Jang Yujin, was displeased by my father's concern for Jae-hee, feigning a cough. Dear, must you personally apply medicine to a maid's child? But Jae-hee is the same age as Kira. I just feel sorry for her, Chin Kwangjao explained, but he released Jae-hee immediately after speaking. Jang Yujin carefully examined her newly polished nails, then slowly stood up a moment later. Oh well, never mind. As she spoke, she used her sharp high heel to step directly onto Jae-hee's hand, but Jae-hee dared not cry out. Her already small hand immediately showed red marks, likely broken. So Min Hwan acted as if she didn't see Jae-hee's injury, smiling as she approached me. Kira, it's almost time for your piano lesson. Let's go. I coldly watched Jae-hee cry, clutching her hand, and said indifferently, check on her. After you put medicine on her, come to the piano room with me. The lesson ended, and Jang Yujin and Chin Kwangjao came to observe again. Your birthday is in 3 days, play a piece for mother to hear. Don't embarrass our family in front of the Gu family then. After I finished a piece, Jang Yujin was very pleased. Not bad, a daughter of the Jang family is indeed intelligent. The piano teacher, wanting to curry favor, pulled Jae-hee, who was sitting quietly in a corner, to show her off. Mrs. Jang, do you think she needs more lessons? She's very talented. Even a student like So Jae-hee, who had no prior knowledge, can now play a complete piece perfectly. No sooner had she spoken than Jae-hee startled, quickly shaking her head. Before I could speak, Jang Yujin scoffed, oh, then play something for me? Jae-hee didn't dare move, her pleading eyes fixed on me. I subtly nodded. Go on. So Min Hwan's face showed clear annoyance. She grabbed Jae-hee's hand tightly, dragging her to the piano, her voice full of threats. Play seriously, don't embarrass me. Jae-hee's piano skills were even more outstanding than mine. The teacher, eager to impress, praised her endlessly. Mrs. Jang, isn't she wonderful? If Miss Kira studies for just 6 more months, I guarantee she'll play as well as So Jae-hee. I sighed, hurriedly dismissing the tactless teacher before Jang Yujin could lose her temper. Jang Yujin looked at Jae-hee's face, which bore some resemblance to her own, and said sarcastically to Chin Kwangjao, your distant relative's daughter also has musical talent. Do you want me to pay for her to study abroad? Chin Kwangjao gasped in horror, frantically signaling to So Min Hwan to pull Jae-hee away. Don't joke, dear. It's already lucky they get to eat. What right do people like them have to study art like Kira? To show her loyalty, So Min Hwan forcefully kicked Jae-hee in the back. She brutally twisted the girl's arm behind her, as if to break her fingers. You bastard! You dare to learn piano and even secretly practice. Tell me, did you hide it from me and Kira and sneak into the piano room to practice? Someone of your lowly fate dares to dream of learning piano. If it weren't for Kira's kindness, you'd never even touch a piano in your life. Chin Kwangjao reached out to help, but then retracted his hand for some unknown reason. Witnessing it all, I spoke indifferently. Father, Jae-hee shares your blood after all. Why don't you protect her a little? Hearing this, Chin Kwangjao reacted sharply, pushing me hard and shouting, what nonsense are you talking about? How could I be related by blood to her? My hand slammed onto the piano, producing a heavy thud. The sudden pain made me cry out involuntarily. So Min Hwan was even more agitated than Jang Yujin, quickly lifting my hand and gently blowing on the red mark, her sharp eyes glaring at Chin Kwangjao. Why did you push my daughter? Kira's hands are for playing the piano. They absolutely cannot have any injury. Jang Yujin clicked her tongue, annoyed. Go get it checked to see if it affects her playing. If this ruins the meeting with the Gu family, don't expect to have a peaceful day. The birthday party that day was extravagantly grand. From early morning, So Min Hwan was bustling about, tasting every dish meticulously before serving. If a bow on a chair was slightly crooked, she would loudly scold the staff. This is Kira's 18th birthday party, marking her coming of age. Lowly people like you, if you didn't have the chance to serve here, you would never see such a luxurious party in your lives. I put on my gown and walked out. Jae-hee, looking dirty and in ragged clothes, trudged behind, holding up my train. So Min Hwan praised me incessantly. Kira is so beautiful. For her to marry into the Gu family is truly a great blessing. Suddenly, she caught sight of Jae-hee behind me and yelled furiously, "Someone like you dares to touch Kira's dress? Let go. If I see you touch it again, I'll chop off your hands." Jae-hee flinched, retracting her hand. She whispered, "Mother, today is my birthday too." Before she could finish, So Min Hwan landed a fiery slap on her face. "You want a birthday too? You're lucky to get leftover food from the kitchen." The evening party was a resounding success. The Gu family was very pleased with my performance, especially my fiancé, Gu Jinwoo. He didn't take his eyes off me for a second. He announced right in front of everyone that after I completed my studies abroad, we would immediately hold the wedding. Jang Yujin was utterly satisfied. This meant the partnership between the Jang and Gu families would continue to thrive. That very night, she began planning my study abroad and summoned So Min Hwan and her daughter, ordering them to leave the Jang family home within a week. Jang Yujin haughtily threw a check at them. "This is your payment for 18 years of serving my daughter. Take it and disappear from my sight." So Min Hwan was unwilling, biting her lip as she looked at Chin Kwangjiao. "Mr. Chin, madam, I've cared for Kira since she was a baby. What if I accompany her abroad? She won't be used to it without me." I chuckled coldly. "Mrs. So, don't dream, you're just a maid. I just have to throw money, and people like you are a dime a dozen." So Min Hwan hadn't expected me to utter such words. Her eyes reddened, her face filled with hurt. "Kira, I was the one who cared for you since birth. How can you treat me so coldly?" Jae-hee hesitantly took her hand. "Mother, you still have me." "Get lost." So Min Hwan didn't accept the comfort, forcefully shaking off Jae-hee's hand. "What right do you have to compare yourself to Kira? Kira is—" She suddenly fell silent, as if realizing she had misspoken. Her hand clenched, then relaxed. After managing to calm herself, she picked up the check, her voice full of longing. "Kira, remember to take care of yourself abroad. If you need anything, just tell me. I'll always be waiting for you." I burst out laughing. "Waiting for me? Oh, then keep waiting. 4 years from now, I'll give you a surprise gift." While I was studying abroad, I heard that Jae-hee was forced by So Min Hwan to marry, and she ran away with the money. So Min Hwan once asked people to inquire if I knew Jae-hee's whereabouts. I mocked her fiercely, and from then on, she no longer cared about Jae-hee, only lamenting that she had wasted 18 years raising her. 4 years slipped by. In the second week after my return, Jang Yujin hastily organized my wedding with Gu Jinwoo. The ceremony was attended by many powerful figures and was incredibly luxurious. At the very moment the rings were about to be exchanged, the grand doors suddenly burst open. A woman, dirty from head to toe, rushed in. It was Jae-hee. She held a DNA test report, dashed onto the stage, and snatched the microphone. "I am the true biological daughter of the Jang family. Jang Kira is just the daughter of the maid, So Min Hwan. This wedding was originally mine." She rolled up her sleeve, revealing old scars from her years living with So Min Hwan. Crying, she recounted how So Min Hwan was a monster. "She didn't feed me enough, she treated me like nothing. All that suffering, I bore it for her." As soon as she finished speaking, she ran to Jang Yujin and sobbed. "Mother, I am your real daughter. After so many years apart, I've suffered so much." Just then, So Min Hwan, who had been secretly watching the wedding, also rushed in. She disregarded all decorum, screaming and trying to drag Jae-hee down. "You beast! You stole my money and ran away, and now you dare to come ruin Kira's wedding. Get out of here." Jae-hee cried heartbrokenly, and the entire hall erupted into chaos. "What? How can the maid's child be the Jang family's daughter? The Jang family put so much effort into nurturing Jang Kira since childhood, and now they say she's not theirs." I removed my veil, putting an end to all the whispers and speculations. "That's right, I am precisely the daughter of the maid, So Min Hwan." Chin Kwangjiao was the first to panic, quickly pulling me aside. "Don't talk nonsense. Your mother suffered to give birth to you, so you are definitely her biological daughter. Guards, take these two troublemakers out. Continue the wedding." Not a few guests, though not fully understanding the situation, loudly joined in, criticizing me for being ungrateful, about to marry into a powerful family yet disowning my birth parents. I smiled faintly, pulled back my hand, and uttered each word clearly. "The truth? Aren't you the one who knows it best?" Chin Kwangjiao was terrified, retreating backward, trying to suppress his trembling lips to explain. "How would I know? Kira, even if you're crazy, you should pick your moments. This is your wedding. As he spoke, he hugged Jang Yujin tightly, repeatedly explaining that he knew absolutely nothing about it. Jae-hee's body was covered in frightening scars. She knelt at Jang Yujin's feet, crying and recounting the years of hardship she had endured. Mother, I truly am your biological daughter. Please, mother, demand justice for me. Jang Yujin frowned and helped Jae-hee up. After carefully examining the DNA test report, she turned to look at me. You've known all along, haven't you? Then why didn't you say anything? Why didn't you tell me? Seeing me being scolded, so Min Chuan could no longer tolerate it. She immediately stood in front of me, loudly retorting to Jang Yujin. Watch your words. Kira is a formidable woman now. With just a flick of her finger, the entire Jang family could crumble into dust. You were fortunate to raise my daughter. Now that the truth is clear, let's take this opportunity to swap daughters. What kind of wealthy mother-in-law? It's my turn to show my power. Jang Yujin, accustomed to a life of luxury, was no match for So Min Chuan. She was so scolded that she was speechless, only able to clutch her chest and gasp for air. The hall, which had initially been silent, now descended into chaos, curses echoing everywhere. She looks decent, but her heart is vicious, disgusting. If her jealousy isn't curbed, no matter how she's raised, she'll just be rubbish. As above, so below, how can such people dare to dream of becoming part of the Gu family? Ignoring the whispers, So Min Chuan quickly grabbed Gu Jinwoo's hand, speaking as fast as a machine gun. Come on, quickly exchange rings. From now on, I am your mother-in-law. Gu Jinwoo yanked his hand away from her, nearly causing her to fall off the stage. You people must give the Gu family a clear explanation. Qin Quangjiao immediately stepped forward to support So Min Chuan, pointing directly at her face and scolding her shamefully. Sister So, our family didn't treat you badly. Out of respect for your past service here, I'll consider you insane today because you've run out of money. If you just explain clearly, say it was all made up, I'll let this go. Otherwise, I will absolutely not let you off the hook. Qin Quangjiao's eyes were filled with anger. He resented the appearance of So Min Chuan and Jae-hee, which had ruined all his plans. So Min Chuan's eyes flickered, she thought for a moment, then decisively yelled, I am not lying. Jang Kira is indeed my biological daughter. For all these years, I cared for Kira meticulously, to the point of neglecting my own biological daughter. I sacrificed my entire life for the Jang family. Fortunately, heaven has eyes. It turns out the person I cared for was my own biological daughter. What right do you have to stop my daughter and me from reuniting? Having said that, So Min Chuan began to recount the hardships she had endured in the Jang family home. I worked year-round, without a single day off, diligently serving Kira. Yet Jang Yujin was jealous of my closeness with the child, finding excuses to pick fights with me every few days. She not only vented her anger on me, but also beat Jae-hee. Jae-hee, mother didn't mean to hit you, but if I didn't hit you, that vixen Jang Yujin wouldn't let you live in peace. Mother knows you hate me, but deep down, mother truly loves you. It's all because of this vicious woman, Jang Yujin. She's the one who ruined our entire family. The entire hall was stunned. Was Jang Yujin really that kind of person? Could a successful businesswoman really abuse children like that? Amidst the crowd, someone finally noticed the crucial point. But it seems everyone is blaming the wrong person. The one to blame should be Jang Kira. Didn't she know this truth a long time ago? Immediately, the crowd's indignation shifted. What a vicious heart, usurping someone else's position for over 2 decades, and now she brazenly wants to marry into the Gu family? Shamelessly enjoying the luxurious life of a young lady, while the true young lady was abused and beaten to the point of needing police intervention. Jae-hee trembled, taking a deep breath, and gathered all her courage to speak. Jang Kira deliberately created conditions for me to be tormented. She often used her power to suppress others. My food was already not clean. She even ordered people to force me to eat spoiled food and scraps. Jang Kira, a cruel person like you, don't expect to live in peace. You nonchalantly went to study abroad with money, while I had to live in hiding, washing dishes for work. Everything you owe me, you will definitely pay back. I silently accepted all the accusations. That's right, I did it on purpose. Your existence and So Min Chuan's were a mistake. Seeing you two already annoyed me. If that's the case, then at least bring some entertainment to my life. That's your only value. So Min Chuan quickly tried to shift all responsibility onto Jang Yujin. but no matter how she tried to justify herself, everyone still regarded me as the culprit. Chin Kwangjiao seemed very panicked. He tightly grabbed So Min Chuan's hand, intending to drag her out, but I didn't give him the chance. What's wrong? Mr. Chin, are you even more anxious than the Jang family members? Or did you know about this dirty child-swapping scheme from the very beginning? No, how could I? Chin Kwangjiao frantically denied any involvement. Wife, say something. The wedding isn't over yet. The cooperation agreement between the Gu family and the Jang family cannot be ruined. Concerned with benefits, Jang Yujin finally regained her composure. Regardless, Kira is still my daughter. Please rest assured, our dear in-laws, the wedding between our two families will continue. This will certainly not affect the cooperation between our two corporations. Before she could finish, Jae-hee suddenly lost control, pushing everyone away, yelling loudly, and charging towards the wedding cake, holding a fruit knife high. Everyone is siding with that fox spirit Jang Kira. I hate all of you. With that, she plunged the knife into her own stomach. Fresh blood immediately soaked the front of her dress. After a moment of stunned silence, screams of terror echoed throughout the hall. Countless people rushed to help Jae-hee. Heart-wrenching cries for help resonated everywhere. Amidst the chaos, So Min Chuan also blended in. If one didn't notice her secretly checking Jae-hee's breath, she looked no different from a mother heartbroken over her child. My daughter, so much pain. It's all because of the Jang family. If you have a soul in the Yellow Springs, please bless Kira with peace, my child. A few people began to record the incident with their phones. Someone opened the door, and immediately a large crowd of curious onlookers crammed into the hall. Amidst the noisy reproaches, the witnesses gradually understood the story. In their eyes, I was now no different from an animal who knew she was an imposter but still deliberately hid it, even using her status to oppress the true young lady. Countless harsh words continuously rained down on me. Some people even took advantage of the chaos to throw food from the tables at me, quickly drenching me in soup, vegetables, and oil. You beast! You don't deserve to be human. Wait for the day you go to jail to pay for this. You could have let the real young lady go to school, live a normal life, but you made her live worse than a dog. Facing the wrath of the crowd, I remained calm and slowly walked towards So Min Chuan. When she saw me approaching, So Min Chuan quickly stood up, and upon closer inspection, there wasn't a single tear on her face. Kira, don't look, it's gruesome. You might have nightmares tonight, she said gently, then turned to shout loudly at Jang Yujin. Jang Yujin, now that you've forced Jae-hee to her death, are you satisfied? Even if Jae-hee isn't my biological daughter, I raised her for over 20 years. You're so cruel, that was your biological daughter. So Min Chuan truly understood human nature, knowing exactly when to play the pitiful role. Clearly, the wounds on Jae-hee's body were all inflicted by her own hands. She was the one who planned everything for today. Yet, at this moment, she could still stand there manipulating, even wanting to shift all blame to others. I stared at her with cold eyes and said, "Stop acting, So Min Chuan. Isn't today's outcome exactly what you wanted?" After hearing me speak, she flinched slightly, but quickly regained her confident demeanor. She pretended not to hear me and turned to me, gently evading. Kira, what are you saying? You and I are of one heart and mind. How could you misunderstand Mother so much? It's all because of that wicked old woman, Jang Yujin. If she hadn't angered Jae-hee, why would Jae-hee have thought of this? Rest assured, Mother will protect you, don't be afraid of anything. Someone nearby sighed. Such great maternal love. A servant who loves her child so much, it's no different from blood kin. Jang Kira is truly blessed. 20-something years as a young lady, and now she has a biological mother who loves her so much. Before I could speak, the main door suddenly became quiet. Police and medical personnel pushed through the crowd and entered. Jae-hee was quickly taken for emergency treatment. After assessing the initial situation, the police asked the relevant individuals to come to the station for cooperation in the investigation. I interrupted. There's no need to go to the station. We can clarify everything here. The police, seeing my willingness to cooperate and knowing that the Jang and Gu families were prominent in the area, did not force me to go to the station. They turned on their cameras and questioned me. You said you knew your true identity early on. Why? I answered frankly. When I was 10, So Min Chuan got drunk. She hugged me and said I was her biological daughter, and so Jae-hee was Jang Yujin's daughter. She said she did it to get revenge on Jang Yujin. The police officer frowned, and then she said she deliberately raised Jae-hee to be a failure. She waited until I married into a wealthy family, then she would proudly reclaim her daughter, and with me, inherit the Jang family's assets. Hearing this, Jang Yoo-jin burst into tears. Just for money. For money, you staged this charade, separating my daughter and me for over 20 years. I cut off her crying, a faint, cold smile on my lips. Stop pretending. To you, anyone bearing the Jang name is the same. You just needed a tool for political marriage. Jang Yoo-jin squirmed, stammering, "No, it's not." Chin Kwang-jae interjected, tears welling in his eyes. "You've known for a long time. So when So Min-hwan tormented Jae-hee, why didn't you stop her? Do you deserve the efforts your mother and I put into raising you?" I looked directly at Chin Kwang-jae and asked, "Didn't you know about this a long time ago?" Hearing this, the police immediately shifted their attention to him. Chin Kwang-jae began to show agitation, sweating profusely, stammering, I was just talking nonsense. Do you have any evidence?" a police officer asked. I nodded slightly, speaking slowly. "Of course, because I am the biological daughter of So Min-hwan and Chin Kwang-jae." So Min-hwan was the woman he was betrothed to since childhood in his hometown. After Chin Kwang-jae became the son-in-law of the Jang family, they both conspired to bring So Min-hwan into the Jang household as a maid under the guise of being a distant relative. She and Jang Yoo-jin became pregnant almost at the same time, gave birth at the same time, and then swapped Jae-hee and me. The entire process was part of Chin Kwang-jae's calculations, but he didn't care because, after all, both children shared his bloodline. Whoever inherited the assets would ultimately belong to him. Chin Kwang-jae was speechless. "You've been speculating for half a day, you have no evidence, this is slander." I curled my lip into a cold smile. Coincidentally, I also have a DNA test report. I picked up a stack of papers from a table in the corner of the room. It clearly stated, in black and white, that both Jae-hee and I were biologically related to Chin Kwang-jae. When the report was unveiled, everyone was stunned. So, it was a poor man who wanted to climb the social ladder. There's nothing more to say. He even let So Min-hwan mercilessly abuse his own flesh and blood. He didn't care about anything, as long as he had money. I told you, you shouldn't choose a son-in-law. The Jang family truly brought in a piece of trash. Hearing those words, Chin Kwang-jae's face flushed red, then turned pale, but he remained stubborn. "Say what you will, I am still your biological father." I remained calm. "If I acknowledge you, you are my father. If I don't, you are nothing, not even worth a penny." At this point, Jang Yoo-jin finally came to her senses. She clutched the DNA report and slapped Chin Kwang-jae hard across the face. "The Jang family never treated you badly, yet you dared to play such a trick on my family. You let my daughter be tortured right before my eyes. You will not have a good end. I will absolutely not let you off the hook." The police were utterly bewildered by this tangled web of relationships. They couldn't understand how the wealthy could be so calculating. "Mrs. Jang, please maintain your composure." I interjected before Jang Yoo-jin could say anything. "How long do you plan to keep up this act? It sounds as if you treated me kindly." In reality, she never valued her daughter, only seeing me as a means to climb higher in society. A relative of the Jang family immediately retorted, "Jang Kira, what kind of talk is that? Who would you be without the Jang family? Where do you think your comfortable life, good food, beautiful clothes, and education abroad came from all these years?" I chuckled faintly. "Oh, such envious tones. Or perhaps, since it's an engagement day, you can marry in my place." Noticing the atmosphere showing signs of tension returning, and to avoid causing further trouble for the police, I raised my voice. "Jang Yoo-jin said I was closer to the maid than to her, so why doesn't anyone know the real reason? Because she never saw me as a human being. When I was 8, one of her business partners praised me for being obedient and cute. She then pushed me into that man's room. No matter how much I cried and pleaded, it was useless. She said if I didn't obey, she would kick me out of the house. Fortunately, that business partner was a coward. Seeing my fierce resistance, he was afraid of trouble and didn't dare touch me." As soon as I finished speaking, those who had just criticized me for being ungrateful suddenly fell silent. "Want evidence, do you? I've recorded everything. I'm sure it's already reached the police station's reception room. Such incidents happened countless times during my first 18 years. Even on the night of my 18th birthday, didn't you want to push me into Gu Jinwoo's room? I sneered, looking towards the Gu family. You beasts in human skin think wearing a suit makes you decent, huh? If it weren't for Jae-hee's help that day, perhaps I wouldn't be standing here now. The police were silent for a moment, then asked, if so Jae-hee is your savior, then why did you stand by and watch her attempt suicide? Why wouldn't I? Jang Yujin stoops to any means for profit, so Min Chuan tramples on human lives for money. What good is it if she lives? Jang Yujin's eyes looked as if they wanted to devour me alive. She knew her true face had been exposed, with no chance of turning the tables, so she simply stopped pretending. You think doing this can bring down the Jang family? Don't even dream of it. With all that evidence, you won't be able to do anything to me. I ignored her statement and shifted my attention to Chin Kwangjiao. You've been too comfortable these past few years, so perhaps you haven't noticed how much So Min Chuan has changed. She doesn't cling to you like before, does she? Chin Kwangjiao blinked repeatedly, then looked at So Min Chuan. Do you think she still loves you, or are you still delusional that she'll sit back and watch us fight to profit? I walked closer to So Min Chuan, placing my hand on her shoulder. She trembled, almost unable to stand. Mrs. So, why don't you tell everyone about your murder plot yourself? The notebook in your bedside table drawer records it all in great detail. Car accidents, fires, escapes. It seems you have no feelings left for him, do you? So Min Chuan's body shook violently, as if about to collapse. She tried to snatch my hand away. Kira, I am your biological mother. I carried you for 10 months, raised you for 20 years. You cannot treat me this way. The man's pride was trampled. Chin Kwangjiao lost control, suddenly lunging and grabbing So Min Chuan's neck, gritting his teeth. You promiscuous woman, you think you can kill me? Fortunately, the police reacted quickly, but when they rescued So Min Chuan, she was already gasping for breath, barely clinging to life. Jang Yujin was helped up by her family members, gradually regaining her composure. Immediately, she activated her powerful CEO mode, telling the police, "Gentlemen, my lawyer will be here soon. Until then, I do not admit to any accusations." I clapped my hands in applause and then reminded everyone to pay attention to the siren outside. Hear that? That's my lawsuit. Jang Yujin, your karma has only just begun. The police siren echoed from afar, growing louder, then stopping completely. Another team of economic police appeared. Mrs. Jang Yujin, you are suspected of involvement in multiple economic crimes. Please come with us to the investigative agency for cooperation. Jang Yujin's face, which had just relaxed, stiffened again. She shrieked, I can't believe it. I haven't broken the law. If you don't have evidence, you can't arrest me. A police officer nodded to me. This scene caught Jang Yujin's eye, and she finally understood. Jang Kira, was it you? You've never been involved in company matters. I don't believe you have the ability to find evidence. After I handed over crucial surveillance evidence to the police, the long-standing tension partially eased. It was the negligence of your company's internal investigation department that caused this. Someone like Jae-hee worked as a cleaning staff in the corporation for 4 years, yet you didn't even know. Handcuffed, Chin Kwangjiao suddenly looked up, his eyes full of doubt and disbelief. No way, that girl had her leg broken by Min Chuan. She should have died somewhere out there. On the other side, So Min Chuan, who had just partially calmed down, was no less horrified. You wretched bitch, all of you are wretched bitches. I should have killed her back then. If the Jang family falls, where will my wealthy madam's status be? Her face began to contort with madness, her hair disheveled, muttering, No, I'm still a wealthy madam. My daughter is the daughter-in-law of the Gu family. I am the mother-in-law of a powerful family. The police officer remained calm, asking back, So, today was a play orchestrated by you and So Jae-hee. I let out a long sigh. Yes, we quietly prepared for over 20 years, just waiting for this day. Jae-hee wasn't actually injured. She just disguised it by wrapping blood bags around her waist to act. The purpose was so she could leave the scene safely. Because the situation was too chaotic, I was afraid she would be truly injured. The police officer patted my shoulder. Courageous, you've endured a lot. The economic investigation team was urgently collecting evidence at the scene. The Jang and Gu family members had all been handcuffed. At this moment, Jang Yujin finally succumbed to fate, I inadvertently smiled. Good, everything is finally coming to an end. Just as I was about to follow the police away, Chin Kwangjiao's hateful shout echoed from behind. Jang Kira, if you don't let me live in peace, then you won't survive either. As I turned around, someone rushed forward and tackled me to the ground. The sound of a knife piercing flesh rang in my ears, but the pain I had anticipated never came. No, Jang Kira must not die. I still have to be a wealthy madam. So Min Chuan lay on top of me, her mouth full of blood, speaking with difficulty. My daughter is a noble young lady. I am the mother-in-law of a powerful family. Everything happened too fast. By the time I regained my senses, Chin Kwangjiao had been subdued, the knife wrenched away. He was still struggling wildly, cursing incessantly, and so Min Chuan had stopped breathing. I was invited to cooperate with the investigation. By the time everything was clarified, it was almost dawn when I left the police station. Looking up at the moon hanging in the sky, I couldn't help but lose myself in thought. So Min Chuan had treated me very well, but that couldn't erase the crimes she had committed against Jae-hee. She was good to me only because she wanted to use me to achieve the life she had always dreamed of. And for that dream, she ultimately paid with her life. Sister, what are you thinking about? From behind, Jae-hee gently draped a coat over me. Sister, it's all in the past now. From now on, it will be our beautiful days. Her words dispelled all the worries in my heart. I cried and laughed, hugging her tightly. Yes, our beautiful days have finally arrived. The next day, we packed our belongings and began a cross-country motorcycle trip. As the bike glided along the highway, Jae-hee pulled out her new ID card. She had changed her name to Jang Xiao, literally, Jang Free Wind, hoping to be as free as the wind in the future. I changed to the Jang surname because you carry the Jang surname, sister. You will always be my only family. Sister, if you hadn't protected me back then, so Min Chuan would probably have beaten me to death. Don't blame yourself. Everything you learned in the Jang family, you passed on to me. I know, you're good to me. We are reflections of each other. 3 months later, at the country's border, we received news from old acquaintances. Jang Yujin was sentenced to 20 years in prison for multiple economic crimes. No one else in the Jang family escaped the law's punishment. The conglomerate that once dominated the market collapsed completely in the blink of an eye. Chin Kwangjiao was sentenced to death for intentional murder and complicity in Jang Yujin's illegal activities, but his execution was temporarily suspended. After everything concluded, I took Jang Xiao to enroll in the university I once attended, realizing her dream of higher education. As for me, I used the money I had saved to open a small restaurant near the university, sometimes helping out students who were working while studying. Wherever Jang Xiao is, that will be our home.